Starting in 1 second, guys. Hold on. Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little bit rusty because I haven't done this for 2 months. But welcome, everyone. So excited to have you guys here. Today's microlearning is on embracing your fears with me, not me, with Jeff Perry and Sarah Serrani. Like I said, I can't believe it's been 2 months since we had our last live stream. I took a break for the holidays and I needed to take the break for my mental health as well. Before we start, click in the chat. Please enter your name, your company, and city that you're dialing in from. For those who are in the live Zoom audience, if you're watching this via live stream on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, remember that we want you interacting as well. Even though you're not in the live Zoom audience, you can ask questions in the comments, in the platforms, add questions you might have, comments for the speakers, etc. So this is a microlearning. Our Community of 7 microlearning series really focuses on how to elevate your career through short training modules. It's a training and development that focuses on offering small, bite-sized, small learning units with just the right amount of information to help learners achieve a goal. So this is not a webinar where you passively listen to a talking head. We actually want you in the conversation. And as this is community focused, we want you to connect with 1 to 3 different folks who are on the call. Give me 1 second while I am able to, or Jeff, can you mute the thing, folks?
Oh, I don't have any privileges anymore.
Okay, so maybe we'll give you, you're the host again. Okay, awesome. So as we are community focused, we want you to really connect with other folks who are on the call. So that's why we have you add your LinkedIn in the chats and the comments. As I mentioned, today's topic is on embracing your fears. And we want you to actually take 1, 2, 3 actions after we hang up. And so really listen into some of the cues that Jeff and Sarah kind of mentioned during the call. And once again, in the comments, before we start, I want you to answer this in the comments. If you're watching on the live stream via LinkedIn or YouTube or whatnot, you can put it in the comments. And you're going to answer this question, type it in, but don't press send till I tell you, right? So answer this right now in the chat or the comment, wherever you're watching this from. What do you think people's biggest fears are at the moment? And I'm not asking you personally because I know it's something very sensitive. Most people don't want to share it. What do you think generally from folks maybe in your community or from what you're kind of seeing right now? What are people's biggest fears at the moment? Getting laid off, dying, falling, failing. Type it in right now and I'm going to have you press send. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send. Change, the economy, job security, financial instability, the unknown, financial loss, the truth. That's really, thank you so much for sharing that. And, we're in such a weird time right now. I was talking to Jeff and Sarah before this call. There's just so much uncertainty going around. You see these mass layoffs occurring left and right. And you see the economy kind of faltering as well. And you have to remember too, we just came out of a 2-year, going on 3-year pandemic. So there's, people were already tired and exhausted, but now there's, more uncertainty with there's going to be a recession. There's not going to be a recession. Well, our companies are downsizing. There's so much uncertainty and fear right now. And so I think this is why this conversation that we're having today with Jeff and Sarah is so important. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jeff and Sarah, and then they're going to take it away from there. Jeff Harry combines positive psychology and play to heal workplaces. He helps teams build psychological safety and assists individuals in addressing their biggest challenges through embracing a play-oriented approach to work. He was selected by Bamboo HR and engaged as one of the top 100 HR influencers, and has been featured in the New York Times, Mashable, Upworthy, Shondaland, and Wired. He has worked with Google, Microsoft, Southwest, Adobe, NFL, Amazon, Facebook, and the list goes on. And he helps them infuse more play into their day-to-day. You can find Jeff at rediscoveryourplay.com. And today we have Sarah. That was my daughter, sorry. She's singing along. And then we also have Sarah Surani, who is a self-described archaeologist of people. Her passion is in helping people discover the treasure inside of them. She is currently a Hay House Diverse Wisdom Writing Fellow. She loves listening and learning about stories of people from all over the world. She finds beauty and power in helping people find their stories and helping create impact in their communities. She's also the founder of She is a Universe, creating facilitator training for young change makers. She's a graduate of Harvard University, one of my alma maters, and is also a co-founder of a health education program in South Texas, focused on educating over 20,000 young children about healthy living. For the past few years, she's been working in remote communities in the Amazon jungle and helping start the first public holistic education school in Peru. So excited to introduce Jeff and Sarah, and I'm so excited to also announce that they are going to be presenting something similar at South by Southwest. So you guys are the first to get a glimpse of this. Once again, drum roll, Sarah and Jeff. Thank you.
Yay! I love your daughter. I love it. Thank you.
She's like working like literally underneath my table, and you just hear like the, you know.
She also we also employ her. She's gonna come to South by Southwest with us.
But
thanks. Yeah, what is her name?
Oh, Morgan.
Oh, thanks, Morgan. Giving us, hyping us up before we even begin.
Exactly. And Jeff, do you want to spotlight yourself, or do you need me to do it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So hi everyone. I'm Jeff Harry. This is Sarah Surani. And yes, as Lon mentioned, what's interesting about how and why we started this in the first place is a while back, maybe last year, Sarah and I were exploring the idea of fear and what was holding us back from many like big decisions that we had in our life. And Sarah can share one of her fear experiments that we did, but we started doing all these fear experiments. And one of them was to create this workshop. So we created this workshop and then hosted it at this event called World Domination Summit. And so many people appreciated it that we were like, well, what's our next fear? Why don't we pitch it to South by Southwest? And it just so happened that they said yes. So now we're just running into these fears and seeing what is possible. And we're hoping today that we can release some of your fears from a place of we, not me, so that we can actually do something really dope this year. So I'm going to throw it over to Sarah.
Thank you. So it's so interesting whenever, like Lan, or whenever you're introduced, I feel like so much of the time you're introduced by all the things you've done, right? Like all the what's that make up who you are. So the crazy thing is that underneath all these what's is who we are again. And there are so many things that hold us back, right? Between each one of those bullet points that Jeff and I have done, there are 10 different fears and 10 different things that have held us back. And some of those things I think are still holding us back, right? So for example, speaking from my own personal experience, like one of the reasons why I'm here is Lan started by saying that I'm a writing fellow. And I didn't even put that in my bio. I think Jeff added that because he saw that in me, because that's something that I still hold myself back on. And this fear of what if I'm not good enough? What if what I have to say isn't good enough? What if what I have to say doesn't matter? What if I say something and someone's like, that's stupid. How can you call yourself a writer? So all these things kind of hold us back, right? And sometimes these fears get the best of us. And often, a lot of the time, we're kind of battling these fears alone because we think that it's just us who feels this way because everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is posting on their LinkedIn. Everyone else is, speaking or publishing things or sharing about things or going to networking events. But why not me? Right? So we want to try to reframe that. And even though we may not the goal isn't necessarily to overcome your fears in this segment, is to realize that it's not why not me, but why aren't we, right? And how can we overcome these fears together? So on that, I'm going to throw it over to Jeff.
So, as Sarah said, fear can be extremely isolating, right? Like it feels as if both the world is like caving in and you're also being abandoned at the same time, right? And I remember when my dad passed away in 2015, I didn't even knew, I never had felt so sad in my life. And I didn't know if I could hold space for anyone else, let alone myself. And then something really weird happened where all of his brothers showed up, and his brothers had not shown up since their mom died. So we're talking about 20, 25 years before, right? So, and friends that I hadn't seen since high school showed up, and people that I never thought even thought about me showed up. And all of a sudden, I realized that I didn't have to hold this fear by myself. And there was something beautiful about the sadness. There was something beautiful about the grief, and there was something beautiful about the idea that we all had each other's back and we were all experiencing this, even though we were grieving in different ways. We all were there together. There was a we, and I had let go of the whole me spot of like, woe is me, and more like, how do I connect as a community as we try to celebrate this person? And I thought that was really beautiful. Sarah?
So what we'd love to invite you to do is that there's a reason that all of you are here today, right? There's a reason that when you saw fears, you were like, I have that, I have many of those, or some of those, or at least one. So we would love to kind of guide you through an activity for the next hour. But we want to ask you to bring out your paper and your pen. And write it down on this paper, right? What fears do you have? And we would like to kind of ask you to frame it a certain way. So instead of just saying like some of the things that you've mentioned, like the economy and children's future and change and being your authentic self, we want you to write it down, saying, I'm scared of. Right? Make sure you put the I'm scared of or I fear, right? That I is super important. Just play a little bit of music as we all do that.
Spring.
And when you're done, just kind of look up or give a thumbs up. Okay, all right. Is everyone mostly good? Yeah? It's okay if you have more fears that you haven't written down. I think we all do. So now we're going to do is just to kind of get to know each other a little bit more. We're going to spend some time going into breakout rooms and kind of sharing our fears. And before we do this, Jeff and I are going to kind of model this because we want to make sure it's a safe space. And a big thing about having a safe space is understanding, like, the give and receive in the moment. Also, one thing that's been really helpful is to think about framing in terms of sharing scars, not wounds. So often a lot of these things can be super personal for us. And it might be really triggering to share, right? Or maybe we may not have the support here in this moment to actually receive the support we need to for sharing something that may be still a wound, and still super sensitive. So we encourage you to kind of think about scars where you've already kind of processed it and feel comfortable sharing and feel comfortable diving deep. There any questions?
So Sarah, should we share ours first?
Of course.
I'll go. I'm like, I was thinking about which one I wanted to share. So I thought of like, I want to do a TEDx this year, and that kind of seems a little scary. But I think what's more scary for me is, so I've been making videos for the last like 2 years. Like that's just what I do. That's how I process a lot of stuff. And since the beginning of January, I haven't made a thing. And there's something underneath that about feeling like invisible or feeling like not mattering that I'm like trying to process and going to attempt to process here today, hopefully.
Thank you for sharing that, Jeff. I think that one of the reasons I'm also here, other than sharing my writing, is I think that I also have this fear about just disappointing people I care about and my coworkers and people that are close to me. And I'm worried that, I'm worried that they won't like me if they get to know me. So I think that's a fear that's also been really alive for me right now.
So I have the breakout rooms ready. We're going to give you about 5 minutes. And if you're trying to figure out who wants to start, you can choose the person with the longest hair. We'll do it that way. All right. So we will see you back.
That's unfair, Jeff.
Well, yeah. And next time we'll do it with the shortest hair. Okay. We'll send you out in break room. So we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes. See you soon. Okay. Let's see. Okay, is there anyone in that room? Okay, no one's in that room. All right, let's make sure everybody is not in a room. Okay, Sarah, you're back. Sarah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I need to move some people around. Let me move her to room 9. Do you have access also to the rooms?
I don't at the moment because I'm not
Okay.
close, so I can't jump into the rooms.
Okay, let me see if I can do that.
Hey guys. So just wanted to remind you guys that this is being in the live stream. So I don't know if you want me to if you want to share a screen, because this breakout room is in the live stream.
Oh, this breakout room is a live stream. So
yeah,
okay.
So because you guys aren't really technically a live stream, or the breakout groups. So just I wanted to remind you guys. So
let's have a meeting right here. Let's do our breakout.
We might as well do that.
I know Bobby Bask. We go way back, Bobby and I. What's up, Bobby?
Hi, Mary, Tony, Claudia. So you guys got the extra special breakout group with Jeff and Sarah. So this is not only not only are we in the general room, but we can teach anyone that is watching the actual live stream as well. I was in a room with Bobby and I was like, wait, I should really remind Jeff and Sarah that Live stream.
I love this. This is so
Also-
real. Hey, Jeff, good to see you again.
Hello, great to see you.
Yeah, so one of my fears is the wrong thing kept happening during the live stream.
That's fair.
I think it's an
Beautiful.
interesting conversation about fear. And I think what's funny for me is that I've spent my whole life being a worrier. And it's only recently that I've kind of really consciously tried to let that go because I realized that the fear didn't serve me, especially things that I couldn't control. So now the things that I fear the most are things that I can't, that are really focused on death, health, you know what I mean? And so I don't know how you can control for that, because those are things that, you know, focus on what you can control, focus on the controllables, and then the things that you can't. But I still have those lingering fears about
Yep.
getting run
Right.
over when you're driving, or
Yep.
those
Absolutely.
irrational fears, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Bobby?
No, I really relate to that, Lan. And I think I'm in a new relationship with fear, is the shortest way I could say it, which is really like that reframing of like laughing at exactly what Lan is saying, because I have that too, and going kind of like, really? Like that doesn't happen to me. And, you know, I like, you know, come on, let's just go. And then I don't know if we have time for it, but one of my favorite metaphors for looking at reminding myself of like my fear is, you know, the whole concept of like going through it, right? So there's the story about like in the savannah, there's lions and gazelles, and how you as a gazelle save yourself is you go through that fear, right? The short version of it. I don't want to take up time with the full story, but it's one of my favorite reminders to myself of, oh gosh, I'm just running from one fear into the other, because if I turn around, there's going to be lions there too that are going to eat me up. So yeah, that's just me.
I'll relate to that.
Yeah.
What about you, Tony, or Mary, or Claudia, if you feel comfortable sharing?
I do. Hi, thanks, Len, for putting this together. My fear right now is, and Sarah, oh gosh, don't ever think people don't like you. You're too young to say that. That really touched my heart. No,
We all feel that way part-time.
feel
So
that
it
way
doesn't matter how old we are. 7 years
It's
old. or
like
70.
we're teenagers again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop that. I'm much older. So my fear is really never getting the feeling you had prior to COVID. It is right now I work from home, which is great. I mean, this is how I started this job before COVID, but actually getting to a feel where you want to go on vacation, meet with friends, just having something hang over you. I don't feel that our lives as we know it will ever feel the same. And my heart goes out to young people like Sarah, young kids like your daughter, you know, that they're really not going to know the type of life that we had. It was like the BC and, you know, before COVID and after COVID. That's my fear. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Claudia or Mary, do you want to share? So I don't time-wise, Jeff. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we have about 1 minute left. I'm just
Okay.
sending that out to the group.
Okay.
Claudia, Mary, are you there? I
I
see you
am.
off mute. Okay.
So sorry, so I am driving now, but I saw, I think this webinar that Lan are doing always is so interesting. That was the drive.
Thank you. Well, my fear is I want you to drive safely. So don't worry about participating.
So safe and
Oh my goodness, love it.
the thing that I want to share with you that I figure out my fears when I decided to live apart from my husband, for example. After 25 years, I decided, both decided to live in apart because could be a good decision for us and for our children too, because we are going for different different paths. And another thing that I think I could find some coincidence when we decided to change in our professional career, for example, when we are working for a big company and suddenly we decide that this is not for us because it's not aligned with our propose, for example.
Thank you so much, Claudia. I think people are coming back in. So I don't know, Jeff, do you want to take it away or bring close the breakout room? Hi, everyone coming back. I hope you guys enjoyed your conversation with folks. We had an enlightening conversation as well.
So thanks everyone for sharing your fears in the groups. And for some people that are just joining us, we are attempting to embrace our fears together in community today. So what we'd want you to do is we're going to do a little cascade share where we want you to write a fear that, you know, like Sarah said earlier, like a scar, and write it in the comments, but don't press return yet. We're going to cascade them all out at the same time. So go ahead and choose one of the ones that you wrote on your list that you actually shared in your group, put it in the comments, but don't press return. And we're going to do the cascade share together. And I'll give you about 10 more seconds to write that in. All right. All right. So we're going to do it on the count of 3. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go ahead, press return. And here they come. I love this. This is one of my favorite parts. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing lack of purpose, scared of letting people down or committing to things. Family's health. I hear you. I'm scared of letting go, disappointing others, always wanting to succeed at everything. Money, scared, fear of money, fear of failure, radically reframing, aging or legacy, death. Imposter syndrome. I fear being in the lack zone. I fear making wrong choices. I'm scared of not having enough. I'm scared my son will never be happy. I'm scared I'll never find love or a true life partner. So if any of those fears resonate with you, go ahead and just write yes in the chat, because we just want to recognize that many of our fears are fears that we all have actually shared, even if we haven't shared them with each other. Love this. Sarah?
Yeah, so the whole reason we're doing this as well, to start off with, is just trying to see how we're not alone. Because a lot of the time with any of these, right? Fear of failure, imposter syndrome, being in the lack zone, finding a new job, other people being happy, we think that we're alone in having these fears, right? And I wanted to bring us to a moment and share a moment when this change, right? And uncertainty. And often when we go through changes like we are right now, all of us, whether it's those that have been impacted more deeply by COVID or the economy or jobs or relationships, and the changes that come with just living, there's this fear of letting go and fear that things won't always be how they used to be. And there's a deep loneliness that comes with that, that's accompanied with the fear. And so a couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, I had injured myself because I'm a clumsy person, and also doors love to hit me sometimes. And I had ended up in a wheelchair because I'd injured both my feet, like apart. And after surgery, moving was hard, right? I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. Crutches were really complicated. And I want all of us to do a little activity. I promise it'll only take a few seconds. I want all of us to stand up. If you can, and aren't driving, I would love for us to stand up, right? And now what I want you to do once you stand up is just to stand on your tiptoes, just once, if you can. Like one of those tiptoe lifts, or 2, kind of like Jeff's doing. You can see him really well in the camera. And that's it. And then sit back down. So 5 years ago, this task, that little task of just lifting my heels off the ground, was impossible. right? It was something that I just couldn't do no matter how hard I tried. I had to walk down the stairs and count 1, 2, 1, 2 to be able to, so I don't trip or I don't injure myself or anything like that. So hiking is something I love to do, and I love climbing mountains. And this obviously became a little more difficult during this chapter of my life. And while other people would hike because they loved the solitary experience, they loved being in their own mind, they loved, being with nature. For me, hiking was always a community experience. At the beginning of the mountain, every time I went on a hike, I would look to the top of the mountain and say to myself, this looks impossible. It's okay if you don't get to the top. And I would hike for 5 minutes and they get really tired and want to turn around. And other hikers would come and hype me up and tell me that I can do it. And they would walk 5-10 minutes more with me. And then they would go on their way. And then I would be again at that place and be like, I don't think I can do it. I want to quit. And then again, 5-10 more minutes, someone else would come along. And before I would know it, there'd be 5 or 6 groups of people who would accompany me to the top of this mountain, right? And through this experience, I kind of learned how, yes, right? Like I had this fear I couldn't get to the top. And in a way, maybe it was true that I can't get to the top alone. But when I had the support of everyone else around me, no matter how difficult it was, it made things a little bit easier. And even in the times I didn't get to the top of the mountain, because there were many times I never got to the top, there was something else that fear was replaced with. And it sounded a lot like hope, just because I wasn't in it alone. And this whole idea of community is this whole idea of we over me, right? And we see it, sometimes you see it, like with our own eyes and sometimes behind the scenes. During COVID, which is this, collective grief that we've all experienced and we're all still experiencing in many ways. There was a moment when my dad's a doctor and he's a lung doctor. So he was deep in COVID. He's a COVID doctor. Spent a lot of time in ICU. And there was a moment when, a lot of the time that time period when people couldn't go into hospitals with anyone, they'd have to go on their own, right? And a lot of the time, tragically, a lot of times people would go into the hospital alone and die and pass away alone or go through the experience alone. And even though doctors and nurses wanted to be there for their patients, they couldn't because there were so many other patients and they were so overworked and they were always running around. And this is the one time I've seen my father cry. And it was when he was going past the hospitals, the rooms, and patients were passing away. And it was the janitors and the cleaners in the hospital who would go into the rooms and hold the hands of people passing away. Because it must be so scary to go through all of this alone. And it's still scary to go through these scary things alone. But holding hands with someone, even if you don't know them, even if you didn't have a chance to ever get to know them, can mean everything.
What I love about that story, or both those stories, is this idea that you didn't know who was going to come to your aid, but that people actually just showed up. And I believe, Sarah, you had also mentioned this before, and when we were running this workshop in person, about how I think it was in Pakistan, where when someone passes away, I mean, this was pre-COVID, they would carry the casket from the house to where it was going to be buried. But people from the town, neighbors would come out, and everyone would come out and help carry this casket or help be right next to it, so that person from their home to where they were going to be buried would not be alone. And it's something very similar also in Filipino culture, where we have the caskets basically sit in the house for many days, sometimes a week, so that people can be around and not be scared of death, right? That they could actually process that together. And I remember a we over me moment for me was I worked on the 2008 Obama campaign. And one of the things that was probably the most powerful reason why I think people were so committed to the campaign and why it was successful was we shared stories before we made any phone calls, before we knocked on any doors. We would share stories of our why, right? It was the story of self, the story of us, our story of now that Marshall Gans had come up with. But this idea of sharing why we were there was so important, because then late into the night, when I'm done making phone calls at like 9 or 9:30, I would be walking out to leave and I would see other people still there, like doing data entry. And I'd be like, wait a minute, that person is there because their mom is sick and they're fighting for healthcare. That person's there because they want to improve education for their kid and they care so much about their family, but they're willing to stay here and do the work. You know, I'm here for a friend of mine who is suffering from a huge health scare. And when each of us saw that, we would stay longer. We would stay till like 11 or midnight, because we were like, I'm not just fighting for myself or just fighting for my friends and family, but I'm also fighting for others. And the ripple effect that this might have, you know, decades from now, if not longer. So this is part of the reason why we were like, oh, why are we approaching so many of our fears from a place of me, when we approach it from a place of we, not only is it easier for us to carry it, but also it actually makes more sense of like how we live our life. There's much more of a shared humanity aspect to it. And that I think like capitalism and patriarchy makes you feel like it's all on you, but really we are both suffering and also experiencing joy in a we space at all times. Sarah?
Yeah. So this is like this whole concept of we, right? Not a concept, but this whole like embodiment of we. How can we take that to our fears as well, right? How can we take these individual fears we have, that we have convinced ourselves that it's just us, and actually give ourselves permission to have others accompany us in this process? And so now what we're going to do is the same way that we all had written down our fears, right? Like in terms of, I am scared of, the economy. I am scared of losing my job. I am scared of uncertainty. I want to invite us to actually go a little bit deeper, if you can, and find the root of it, right? So if, for example, like if you say that, speaking from my own, right? Another thing I'm afraid of right now is I'm afraid of asking for a raise, right? I have a lot of like anxiety around that. So I could say I'm scared of asking for a raise, but if I dig a little deeper, the core wound behind that is I am scared that I will get rejected. I'm scared of rejection, or I'm scared that I'm not enough, or I'm scared of disappointing someone, right? So these are the deeper, more universal themes behind each fear. So now I'd love to give us just a couple of minutes to maybe take 2 or 3 of the fears you wrote and see if you can find a universal thread, right? And it might be one of the ones that I mentioned. Or Jeff, do you have any examples as well? Would you like to take one of your fears and just...
Yeah. The one that I said earlier about, not wanting to make videos, more the idea of like, I'm scared I'm not going to matter. I'm scared I'm going to be invisible. I'm scared people that I care about won't remember me, or that I didn't live up to my full potential. Those are some of the fears that come up for me.
No, thank you for sharing that. Does that make sense to everybody? And at this point, you're still writing I am afraid of, or I am scared of, or I fear. Still using the I. We're going to switch it up in a bit, but I'll just give you a couple of minutes. Okay. How's everyone? Have they done with that with at least one of their fears? Yeah, even if it's just one. So now, what we'd love to invite you to do is, especially if you've written down on paper, right? The framing was kind of I am scared of or I fear. We invite you to take a pencil or a pen, or if it's like a giant red marker, and cross out I, and write down we. So all the places that you've written down I so far, I am scared of, or I fear, or my or mine, write down we, ours, us. And now just in a little bit. Jeff?
Yes, we are now going to break out into new rooms. And when we share with each other this time, and you'll be with new people, hopefully, when we want you to share, we want you to scared of blank. We are scared of, or we fear, and share it together and just see how it also feels in comparison to when you shared it as an I or as a me. And if someone shares a fear that you relate with, then let them know at that point, that's exactly how I've felt as well, right? Because we want to also understand that collectively, not only are we all scared of many of the same things, but many of us have also gone through similar fears, so we can actually help one another. And that's part of the process as well of like, oh, I used to actually be scared of that. So when we shared in that we space, so share we are, and then what you fear with each other. We'll give you about 5 minutes. We'll start with the person with the shortest hair, and then we'll be back here for the last activity. And we'll see you very soon. All right.
Amazing.
So we have here, okay, but let's go to gallery view. Hi, Laura, are you there?
Laura.
Okay. And while we're waiting for Laura, Sarah, let's model how we would actually do it for people that are watching in the live stream or watching after.
We are scared of rejection.
Ooh, we are scared of not being enough.
We are scared of being too much.
Ooh. We are scared we are going to disappoint the people we love. Oh, that would hurt. Oh, that one's tough. Oh my goodness.
We are scared that we're already disappointing the people that we love.
We are scared that we will not live up to what we believe is our potential.
We are scared of uncertainty.
Oh, we are scared of having massive regrets at the end of our life. Oh my God, that one's a big one. That's a tough one. Oh, goodness.
We are scared of change.
We are scared of not being loved.
We are scared of ending up alone.
Oh. We are scared of being with someone and still feeling alone. Oh, goodness. Yikes.
We are scared of giving up.
We are scared of putting our heart and soul into something and then failing.
Oh, I saw that one coming and it still hurt.
It still hurt.
We're scared of I think the core reasons all start to overlap after a while, right?
Yeah. Because a lot of it has to do with like enough or
exactly.
love or lack or like we are scared of not feeling connected. You know, or we are scared of being alone, feeling alone.
Yeah. No, it's true. I wonder if, I guess we can close the breakout groups for now too.
Oh, you want to close the rooms?
Yeah, we can do it. I think this one's a little shorter.
Okay. All right. Well, what if they haven't finished share? Here, let me broadcast.
One more, yeah, give a warning.
Yeah, let me give them. We'll give you about 1 minute. Okay. Well, it's 2 minutes on the clock, though.
I think it's okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see 1 minute and.
Okay. Give you about 1 more minute, so we can.
Because when the breakout rooms close, they also give a minute.
Oh, got it. Okay.
We are scared of not feeling free.
Ooh. Oh, or how about this? We are scared of feeling free and then not being able to handle that level of freedom.
Oh, that's real too. That's a real one. Wow.
That's real, dude. Oh, goodness.
We're scared of being accepted.
We are scared of achieving everything we've always wanted and it not being enough.
Oof.
Oh, that would hurt. That would hurt.
We're scared of being hurt.
Yeah. Or being seen.
Oh.
This is a great like poem. You know, this would be really good. This would be an amazing poem. I'm glad this is being recorded.
Yeah.
Whoever's on the live stream, like make sure to record this and send this to us. So all right. So
I'm gonna down for us.
I'm gonna bring back the rooms there. Let me close up the rooms. Give them about 15 seconds to close up. All right, we're coming back. We're coming back, everyone, as we are conscious of time and we want to make sure that we get to these last 2 items. So as you come back, feel free to write in the chat, but don't press return, but feel free to write in the chat how that felt in comparison, sharing your we versus sharing your me story, or your me fear versus sharing your we fear. So write that in the chat, but don't press return. We'll cascade it together. I'll give you about 5 seconds to do that. Was that right? All right. And then on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go ahead and press return. Let's see. All right. So comforting. No one is alone. I could empathize and relate when I used we, right? It feels like I'm not alone. So much in common and relatable to each other's fears. We are in this together. Let's go, Ann. Lon, it was comforting to know that fear and work was shared. Good to know we're not alone. I'm hearing this over and over again. I love this. Powerful. Was very helpful. I missed the last person group, but her story because we ran out of time. I'm so sorry. Oh my, it was so great meeting with Sophie. Isn't she amazing? You know, being in community with kindred heart warriors holding the sacred space of we. Holly, you should go on the road with us. So as we're coming to this last portion, and we're going to give you a shortened version of it, what we want to do now is we want to actually have you reflect on, there's we, right? There's we of the people that are right next to us right now, but we also want you to reflect of like, who is the we in my life, right? So a story that I like to think about is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was being interviewed once and she goes, I don't like being humble. I am not humble. And I think she was being interviewed by Oprah, and Oprah's like, what do you mean? And she's like, when I walk into the room, any room, I'm walking in with every person that I've ever interacted with, any person that I've ever read, any person that I've ever connected with, right? She once got Tupac Shakur that was so angry to like cry by simply asking him, you know, what's wrong? Like, she has all of these experiences. So when she walks into a room, she walks into the room with hundreds of people. And our friend Laura Pena, who's on this call, she recently was speaking in front of, I think, like 1,500 or 2,000 people. And at first, you know, she communicated to us that she was really nervous. But then a day before she was about to get up on stage, she was so confident and like grounded. And we were like, what's the difference? And being that like Sarah and Laura run this She Is the Universe, the teen women empowerment organization, and Laura was about to speak about this organization. Check it out. She Is the Universe. It's amazing. When she was walking on the stage, she goes, I represent the hundreds of teenage girls that empower me, the reason why I started this organization in the first place. So why would I be scared, right? There's hundreds of people on this stage with me at all times. And when we think of it that way, it's a much more powerful way in which we can actually step into our fears. So we're going to give you about 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, about 90 seconds, to write down who are the people in your life that constantly have your back. And we're not just talking about the people that are alive now, but who are also your ancestors? Who are some of the people that potentially have recently passed away, but still are with you? So go ahead and write that list down of names. And then we're going to end on a meditation from Sarah.
You just put it in the microwave for 20 seconds.
Make sure to put it in the microwave for 10 seconds, maybe 15.
Sorry.
Just to make time. It's understandable. We got to make sure this is cooked.
This is when we do a live stream.
What we love about this is the we space. We're making that food together. We're making the food together. I will like a portion of that, whatever is being microwaved. Just. Hi, Morgan.
Morgan, what's your biggest fear?
Oh, wow. Just put her on the spot.
I'm smart enough not to answer that.
Well played, Morgan.
Did you guys hear?
Played.
I'm smart enough not to answer. Are you saying we weren't smart enough because we answered it?
No, you guys are smart. It's just that I don't think it's a good thing to share your fears.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Because then you start thinking about it.
That's mic drop right there.
Ooh, interesting.
Morgan, what if
Morgan?
what if we all have the same fears as you?
Huh?
What if all of us have the same exact fears as you?
That would be weird.
You know, I think we talk a lot in our family about what we focus on.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
We do?
To be careful about our words because we
Mm.
manifest what we focus on, right? And I think so that's kind of in her mind. But then, Morgan, I also want you to talk about what you're afraid of as well to me, right? Because you don't want to be alone in your fear. And I think this is the conversation that Jeff and Sarah are having right now.
I love this discussion you're having with Morgan.
Right, Morgan?
Okay. So in the interest of time, Sarah's going to wrap up with a meditation because I know some people might have shared some pretty powerful fears today. And then we'll close out. We might go over like by 1 or 2 minutes. So we do apologize.
Yeah.
And so take it away,
Yeah,
Sarah.
so just kind of thinking about this, I would love for us, I would just invite us to all just close our eyes for 2 minutes and just take one deep breath in and one deep breath out. Just as we connect to our breath, I want to tell you a story. So a couple months ago, when I was deep in my fears and felt really isolated, a friend of mine told me to share my fears with him. And just like Morgan, I didn't really want to. I didn't want to share my fears because I didn't want to burden anyone else. I didn't want to, take my big, heavy rocks and tell someone to hold them for me. And as I took deep breaths in and deep breaths out, my friend told me that when you share your fears with someone, you're not taking this giant boulder off your back and giving it to someone. Instead, it is like you're putting it in the middle and together with the people around you, the people you know, the people you don't know, the people on your list, your ancestors, your friends, family, pets. You're all taking tiny little tools and pulverizing the giant boulders and rocks into pebbles. And at the end of the day, maybe you give your friend a pebble or two. But at the end of the day, the boulders that you came to your community with are now tiny little rocks that don't hold you back. As you take these deep breaths in and take these deep breaths out, I want you to try to imagine these giant rocks that you came in with, these fears that you came in with. Now, I want you to imagine the people in your breakout groups, the people in your rooms, people on your list, the friendly faces in the chat. And imagine them kind of crushing all these rocks into tiny pebbles. And as you crush them in tiny pebbles, I want you to try to give yourself permission to feel a little lighter, a little more free, a little more brave, a little more confident, a little more hopeful. And we'll take 3 deep breaths together. And when we breathe out, I'd love us to just make whatever noise we need to make to feel that tiny bit lighter. So deep breath in. Let's try one more. Deep breath in. For this last one, I want to try to invite you to imagine holding everyone's hand here on Zoom. And for this activity, I usually try to hold my own hand, because when your eyes are closed, you can't tell if it's yours or someone else's. Just take one more deep breath in, holding everyone's hand. As you breathe out, I want you to say, we are not alone. We are not
alone.
alone.
Not alone.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Wait, so as we close out, if everyone, can you put this on gallery mode? Also, Jeff, Sarah, is there anything, you want this community to find you on your website, or how can this community help you?
Oh, that's a great question.
And I know you guys are going to South by Southwest and taking this on the road. So if anyone is going to South by Southwest, make sure you support Jeff and Sarah. If you want, Jeff, in the comment section, please add, where we can find you and Sarah. And folks, go click on gallery, and please, if you can, turn on your cameras, unmute yourself, because Jeff and Sarah deserve a big round of applause. Come on. Woo! Come on, guys. Unmute yourself. Turn on your videos. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for that amazing conversation and dialogue. I really appreciate everyone coming out for the
Hi everyone, and welcome back.
Microlearning for this year, and we will see you at the next one. I think we have one in next month, so check out the calendar on Community of 7. And thanks again, Jeff, Sarah, and we will see you in South by Southwest as well. Okay,
Thanks
bye,
so much
everyone.
for having us.
Bye. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, Morgan wants
Thanks,
to say
everybody.
bye.
Thanks,
Morgan.
Ann. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, David.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Morgan.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Josie. Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Sophie. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jane.
Bye.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Venice. Ritu.
Thank
DK.
you.
Great to see you, DK. Amanda, such a pleasure.
Thank you. Lovely job, Jeff.
All
Bye.
right.
And thanks to live audience as well.
We'll see everybody. Thanks so much for coming. We'll talk to you later.